One of the most important concepts that comes to mind when Nikola Tesla's name is mentioned is his vision of wireless energy transmission. Tesla believed that humanity could control the natural energy that exists on Earth and transmit it wirelessly around the world. Imagine being able to receive and use energy anywhere in the world without the need for power cables or power lines. Tesla was working on this revolutionary technology and was about to realize it when his projects were suddenly halted. In an instant, Tesla's projects were shelved, his documents were confiscated, and he was prevented from bringing this technology to light. After his death, the FBI confiscated all of Tesla's energy-related work, and these documents mysteriously disappeared. What if I told you that there is evidence that wireless energy transfer technology was used by an ancient civilization thousands of years before Tesla? And this evidence is in one of the most mysterious and famous structures in the world, the Great Pyramid. Yes, you have not heard wrong. We understand that these ancient civilizations used this technology to spread not only electrical energy, but also other types of energy. And even this ancient structure was not the first of its kind. According to mainstream history, the Great Pyramid is just a mausoleum for the pharaoh Khufu. Khufu was a pharaoh who ruled Egypt 4,500 years ago and was a ruler of the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt. However, all research does not provide any concrete information that the Great Pyramid is related to Khufu. Not even the slightest sign of Khufu's presence has been found inside the pyramid. In fact, no written documents or information about why, how, and by whom the pyramid was built have been found inside the pyramid. Studies of the Great Pyramid show that the engineering features of the structure and the materials used serve a much greater purpose than an ordinary tomb. The pyramid was built with incredibly precise engineering. Made of 2 million giant stone blocks, it weighs 6 million tons and is 146 meters high. The area spanning its base is 52,600 square meters, and the margin of error in its construction is as small as 1 centimeter. Such precision engineering is only possible today with laser technology. It is also worth noting that the pyramid points exactly to the ancient North Pole. People think that the Great Pyramid has 4 faces. But in fact, the pyramid has 8 faces, and these faces tilt inward at a very low rate, forming a concave structure. You can only see this detail from the shadows of the pyramid during the equinoxes, or by looking from the top. Another interesting fact is the pyramid's connection with the Earth. The Great Pyramid was designed at a scale of exactly 1 to 43,200 of the dimensions of the Earth. When you multiply the height of the pyramid by this ratio, you get 6,371 kilometers, the radius of the Earth. Likewise, if you multiply the base area of the pyramid by this ratio, you get the length of the circumference of the Earth's equator. To realize such a precise design requires a precise knowledge of the world. So what does this structure have to do with energy production? The Great Pyramid was built using nummulite limestone, which was sourced from quarries near the pyramid. But this is not the only material used in the pyramid. The outer surface of the pyramid is covered with specially polished and shiny limestones. These stones are so smooth and shiny that an outsider would see the pyramid as a giant structure shining in the sunlight. These stones were brought from the city of Tur, 804 kilometers away from Giza, where the pyramid is located. The peculiarity of Tur limestone is that it contains no magnesium and is therefore an excellent insulator. The granite blocks used in the pyramid have another characteristic. Granite contains a high percentage of silicon dioxide, which has a piezoelectric effect when compressed. This means that when pressure is applied or vibration occurs, it generates electricity. Granite blocks loaded with quartz can work like an electrical circuit. The granite used in the king and queen chambers of the pyramid contains 85% quartz, and this high concentration of quartz increases the pyramid's potential to generate energy. The materials and engineering details used in the structure suggest that the pyramid was not just a tomb, but a gigantic energy generator. Although this theory was considered a far-fetched idea in the 1970s, scientific research in the following years began to confirm this idea. In particular, Chris Dunn has conducted detailed studies on the use of pyramids as energy production facilities. According to Chris's report, the aquifers, the underground water sources under the pyramids, resonate with the natural vibrations of the Earth. These vibrations propagate into the pyramid and start the process of energy production. Chris Dunn's work shows that hydrogen is produced in the pyramid's queen chamber. Traces of hydrochloric acid were found in the north shaft and traces of mercuric chloride in the south shaft. When these two substances are combined, a large amount of hydrogen gas is released. This hydrogen is directed into the large gallery chamber, where quartz-rich granite blocks are used to generate energy. The hydrogen atoms resonate with the sound waves, generating more energy and making the pyramid work like a huge energy generator. Chris's theory, the final stage of this energy takes place in the king's chamber. The granite layers in the king's chamber focus the sound waves and complete the energy production. The energy produced in this room adapts to the natural vibrational frequencies of the Earth, and the pyramid functions as a kind of musical instrument. This energy, produced in the Great Gallery at a frequency of 432 Hz, can be very effective for healing and spiritual growth. There are other scientific findings that support the idea of the pyramid as an energy facility. In a 2018 experiment, radio waves were sent to the pyramid, and it was found that the pyramid interacted with electromagnetic waves. It was observed that electromagnetic energy was concentrated in the pyramid's internal structure, especially at wavelengths of 200 and 600 meters. These findings provided important data proving that the pyramid is an energy-focusing center. Had incredibly advanced technology thousands of years ago, but how did this knowledge and technology disappear? A closer look at the history of the pyramids and the scientific studies on them reveals the answer to this question. What happened to the pyramids may signal a catastrophe even bigger than Tesla's story. Recent investigations have revealed significant chemical residues in the pyramids. Traces of hydrochloric and sulfuric acid were found in the south shaft, and traces of mercuric chloride and ammonium chloride in the north shaft. Combined, these substances were capable of producing the hydrogen inside the pyramid. Hydrogen is an element that could enable the pyramids to be used as a source of energy. In 2001, scorch marks and destruction were discovered, indicating that this system was out of control. In particular, cracks in the granite layers of the king's chamber show signs of a massive explosion of energy inside the pyramid. In addition, 2.5 centimeter displacements were detected on the walls, indicating that a huge force was applied. It would have taken a great deal of energy to move such heavy structures. Caused this catastrophe? Mainstream science does not support these findings and argues that there is no concrete evidence that such an event could have happened. They argue that the pyramids were merely burial structures and did not serve technological purposes such as energy production. But many independent researchers dispute this view. In particular, new discoveries about the construction history and structural features of the pyramids point to the existence of a much older civilization. This is where Graham Hancock's theories come into play. Hancock and researchers like him argue that the pyramids of Giza are perfectly aligned with the constellation Orion, and that this alignment dates back approximately 13,500 years. This suggests that the pyramids are actually much older than previously thought. Thanks to today's technology, we can simulate the positions of the stars in the past and thus determine that the construction date of the pyramids coincides with the constellation Orion. Likewise, it turns out that the Sphinx faces the constellation Leo, and this alignment points to a date of about 13,500 years ago. Another clue to the age of the pyramids is the water erosion detected on the structures. Robert Schoch of Boston University revealed that there was severe water erosion at the base of the pyramids, and especially on the Sphinx. He says that these erosions were not caused by ordinary rainwater, but by the rapid movement of large amounts of water. But as far as we know, the Giza Plateau has had a desert climate throughout its history. In this case, there is only one period that can explain such water erosion: the early Dryas period. This period marks the abrupt end of the world's last ice age, around 9,700 BC. This period saw dramatic changes in the global climate. It was originally thought that the glaciers melted over several centuries, but recent research has shown that this melting took place in just a few decades. Even more strikingly, ice drilling about 2 years ago revealed that this massive melting could actually have taken place in just 1 week. In the aftermath of this major climatic catastrophe, sea levels rose rapidly, coastal areas were flooded, and there was massive destruction across the globe. Some scientists thought the catastrophe was triggered by a massive meteor strike, but more recent research has disproved this theory. The meteor impact would have been expected to shut down the atmosphere and create a longer-lasting cooling across the globe. Instead, it turns out that around 9,700 BC, there was a massive solar flare that pierced the Earth's magnetosphere and created incredibly powerful lightning bolts across the planet. The eruption wreaked havoc across the globe, rapidly wiping out many animals such as mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. Humans were also affected. These events affected not only living beings, but also large energy structures such as the pyramids. The delicate chemicals and energy generation mechanisms used inside the pyramids were rendered useless by these massive natural events. Massive floods, plasma storms, and radiation rendered these ancient structures useless. Civilizations collapsed at that time, and humanity had to start over. If Tesla had been able to realize his vision of universal energy production in the past, our world would be very different today. But Edison, Rockefeller, and similar capitalists prevented this dream. Energy-based wars, poverty, and environmental problems have become a reality of our world today. Now there are those who say that history is heading towards another great reset. No one knows whether the great catastrophe of the past will happen again, but can humanity be better prepared this time?